You tasted that.
You gotta take it to
You want some pie with that whipped cream? Exactly. You can't even see it. That's how it's supposed to look?
Yes. Yes. Take a look at it. Take a look at it.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to look.
The presentation.
We're both gonna take a bite.
It's not that bad.
Do you taste the brown sugar?
I do not.
Okay, well
I
then it's
taste
bad.
I taste the sweet potato. Wait a minute.
No. Sis, stop lying.
I said it's not that bad. I'm gonna say it was great.
But you're absolutely right. You taste it. So the sweet potatoes are from our garden.
This is a sweet potato pie.
Yeah, it's not a sugared down.
It is not a southern sweet potato pie.
So we're just gonna take another bite of that and I'm gonna push this to the side.
I was trying to get to the crust and I couldn't.
That is a funny moment though.
Trying to get to the crust.
Now, because I'm using the side of the fork.
I am too.
Snaps.
Bless his heart, as we would say in the South. Bless his heart.
But I can't blame him. I really gave that recipe to him
It's not bad.
from Google.
It's not bad. It's not.
It's sweet potato.
It's not Thanksgiving ready.
No, it's not something I would bring to.
Oh no.
No.
No, don't do that.
I'm gonna bring
that back. They'll be like, thank you.
Stay in your lane.
Right.
Clean up these dishes.
Right.
I got you.
And then have a nice day. We will not be extending
Gotcha.
another invitation. But
That needs to be whipped up almost like the sweet potatoes. And I'm gonna find a way to repurpose that.
what that?
Yeah.
You can make like a souffle. Sweet potato
Right.
souffle.
So like purpose, like almost like how grandma used to take everything out that refrigerator and make honey, what you call it, jambalaya,
Goulash.
a goulash. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's got to be repurposed.
Nothing going to waste.
No.
Take
I
that.
appreciate it.
Fold in some ice cream. Have sweet potato ice cream.
That's a thought too.
Tell me how the awareness that you had of the missed opportunity,
Right.
you're aware about that. How are you aware of how you've been coping? What's been your support system? What things have helped?
I coped by keeping everything, like internalizing everything. That's how I coped. I really haven't coped. That's how I did. So again, immediate death, right into Taylor going into school, I had to go into mom mode of making sure she was okay. Because now she's not at an arm's reach for me to get to her. I mean, even though the school was only an hour and a half, whatever away, but I had to make sure that I was strong enough to keep her going. I didn't feel that I could talk about my son around her because I didn't know if that would set her off, and if it didn't set her off, it would then set me off. So I roar in my head a lot of conversations, and I will begin and finish and then have made the decision. So for me, it's like, if you bring this up, then she's gonna say that, and then this is how you're gonna feel, don't say anything. It literally can just go in that pattern. And I won't. So I'll drive to the school or make a phone call and talk to her. But I couldn't. So I held in a lot. So how I coped and who my counselor was Taylor's dog. So the dog that she purchased with some friends, I was like, you don't need a dog in college. That's dumb. So I brought King to the house. So the house that Michael and I were staying in before, it was me, Michael, and King. And the crazy thing is, the dog literally saved me. And it's funny, and when I look back, because the dog needed walking every day. So it wasn't like the dog we had in the past, or we can kind of let Angel out. She didn't need a leash, didn't need a collar, but King needed special treatment. He's a runner. He's, inquisitive about everything, but he needed to be harnessed and kept on a leash. So when we had the bad ice storm, I was out there walking. Ice, leaves, branches that were frozen, falling before me, the whole bit. Rain, snow, making a snow path, clearing a path in the snow for him to actually walk and go to the bathroom. But the dog saved me because it allowed me to talk. Some of my conversations being, not, I don't want to say sad, but embarrassed to even share. But when he was going through all of his going through and doing the wrong and the illegal, but not necessarily being a teenager, just doing wrong. I don't want to tag that to him being a teenager. You're just doing wrong. And my kids both knew that I didn't sugarcoat anything. If you messed up, you messed up. And you're doing good, you were doing good. And I praised you or I chastised you either way. But it was so heavy for so many years. Here's another crying moment. So I can honestly admit that I had moments of saying, I'm ready for him to go. So God, if you take him, that will allow me to do just like I just did. Take a deep breath. It'll allow me to breathe. It's so much work and so much involvement in trying to keep him emotionally stable. It was too much. And the family helped. I mean, his dad helped, like pig in the chicken. He helped at the level
of
that he
his
could.
capability, right?
Of his capability. But for me, it wasn't enough. Grandparents, same thing.
But we do know, as mothers, somebody else's is never going to be enough.
It's never enough when it's your child.
Even for us,
Right.
what we're doing is never enough.
Right. And
So you had support.
I had support, and it just, I was ready, but Cecil wasn't my first child. So at 20, I had an abortion with my then high school sweetheart. And that was in 1989 that child would have been born. And it's ironic, would have been born in the same month, October. So Cecil for me was my makeup child for the pain. So I'm tying all this in to say I've had hard ways of coping with things and really coping with them in a way that a counselor would want you to cope correctly. And having that abortion, I knew that dating and then getting married, I had to instantly have a child to make up for what I messed up then. And that's who he was. So I had a child in 89, I had my son in 93, had my daughter in 95, and then I had a miscarriage in 2000. So I had 4 children. And losing him and right now just having Taylor in my life is painful. So I'm coping with a lot of emotions. That's what I'm tying this into. I'm coping with a lot of emotions as being a mother, as being someone that raised my children. Did I raise them correctly? Did I do what it is I needed to do? But I remember painfully, now fast forward, of Cecil going through this. I'm like, God, if you take him, you have 2 of them already up there. I don't know how to navigate. I don't know how to navigate and help him emotionally understand it's going to be all right. Divorce isn't the end all be all. You don't have to keep doing things that are wrong, regardless of how you learned how to do what you did. But it's going to get better. And he just has so much hatred for himself. I just remember exhaustingly saying, if you take him, I'm okay. So part of me doesn't know if the journaling part that I had, literally, this was going to happen, he's going to be okay, I'm preparing you for that, was my spiritual message after praying and me writing that down to it actually happening, of me just being like, so I haven't had a moment to really, because everything's always just been like, just keep it moving,
Just keep it moving.
keep it moving. I haven't coped for me the way I should have. And when Taylor graduated after the 5 years, I had to then cope. Because
Wait a minute, I'm gonna stop you. Because you said the way you should have. Based upon what?
based upon how I felt that when I was internally hearing myself say to myself, like you said, I shouldn't be here. Just forget it, let it go.
Okay.
Like I felt that in counseling, somebody would have been guiding me in another direction because I had to do it all myself. Friends are great. Love your friends. But they only want to hear but so much.
Right.
But for so long. And the truth to that is I saw how my friends, it's a lot on them.
Right.
Everybody's starting to, migrate and go in different directions. But my family, my mom's not here. I couldn't lay on her lap or, or on her shoulder, cry on her shoulder, whatever. But my father, none of that. I had to figure it out by myself. And being here in the state of Delaware without my family, and that family was my family, so now all that's torn apart.
Right.
I had to navigate through all this myself. So raising her and taking through those 5 years, when she graduated, on her graduation day, it was a truthful moment to say what you prayed about, which was to get her through school, come hell or high water, however you could financially, because I went back into real estate, but clients weren't knocking on the door,
Right.
to financially support me the way I would love to have been. But Michael and I got her through. So she graduates, and I'm literally in the bathroom. Here's another secret moment, and only I think I told my dad and mom. So I'm going to the bathroom, and I'm just sick, and I'm crying. And my girlfriend says to me, "Why are you crying like this? You should be excited." And I said, "This is now over. The tumor of me being angry and pain or feeling like I'm not going to be able to get her through or not have the money, whatever it is, all that is done. You've accomplished what it is God has already told you you're going to be able to accomplish, and it's done.
So now what?
So now you can't be angry anymore.
Right.
Now you can't be hateful anymore. Now you have to have something else to kind of complain about or be upset about to get you through." And it dawned on me that I lived 5 years like that. Hasn't happened yet. Physically one-on-one with someone. It's just happened, off the street.
Here and there.
Here and there.
A word, a sermon.
A sermon, a scripture.
A message.
A message, a girlfriend giving you a little something. Your mom
A
telling
card.
you something.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened in the therapeutic way that I think it should have. And then when I think about doing it, now that I'm over everything, so to speak, now I'm like, I don't have time. Got this farm to, get going and things to do here.
So has any of that been therapeutic though?
It's been therapeutic for me, even though I did it the way I needed to do it.
And maybe that's the way it needed to be done.
Yeah, I didn't have the,
Sit down, cross the two chairs.
no, I didn't have the traditional way of getting it done.
Well, you don't strike me as a traditional.
No, I'm not. And
Someone who is maybe 10 years, where when you say it's been 5 years for you, there's someone 10 years still in the grips of, I'm still angry.
right.
And so now that you have recognized that you are releasing the anger, and you are doing things that you never thought you would do,
Never.
has the farm transformed you in some way? Has where you're at right now, has releasing the anger transformed you?
I would definitely say yes, because whereas when we all first get married, you feel that everything is happy and that whole
Blissful.
white picket fence. Yes, that's the word. There you go. And then when it falls apart, my home then wasn't necessarily a good space. Can you relate to that? Like, was home for you
Well,
chaotic, constant?
growing up,
Okay,
my home was that way.
gotcha.
And then as I became a single parent and I have a child with special needs,
Right.
chaos took on a different meaning.
Okay.
So I worked very hard at that home that you found for me.
Right.
That's my sanctuary.
And
Yeah.
that's the point that I'm getting at.
But I have to work at that.
There you go. You were in a space that you felt was good, but when you came out of it and things happened, you were searching for. So you and I met. I helped you purchase that home, and you said that you can now heal in that home.
Right.
That's how I feel that this farm is. And that is one of the reasons why having people here and having conversations, it could be potentially therapeutic for me, just to be able to talk to other people, and not necessarily just about death, but it's just about life. And just see the response and say, okay, that's how they did it. Not to say that that's what I need to do as well, but to see that they're still making it. So this is very therapeutic for me. The land, the animals, the pond, the grounds, having friends here, having people, on social media reach out and say, my grandchild would love to come, or my son would come, and when are you doing things for adults? It makes me feel excited, and it makes me feel good when I come home. So that's why I know where I am career-wise right now, that I'm ready for that shift. I'm ready for that shift, and not necessarily because of age, but because it might be that it is finally something that I found to heal me, and I could put a finger on it. When I go home, it's a different feeling.
Right.
Instead of me guessing, like, is this what it feels like? Like when we're dating somebody, is this what love feels like?
Right.
I know when I come home and I pull into even if Michael and I are face to face, nose to nose, at a good argument going, I know when I hear those rocks underneath my tires, that from the chickens to he and I's morning routine of doing chores and having coffee and watching the news, and then going out to our workforce of real estate and then coming back, that routine and that pattern, and birds chirping and the bullfrogs going and the salamanders on the deck and the flies swatting around, it's peaceful for me. It really is. And I like you said, I'm fighting. I'm fighting to be here.
It's work.
It's work. I'm fighting to be here and stay here in this space and develop this for other people to come and be able to have that moment.
Right. Like I tell people, it's not easy, but it's necessary.
Right.
It is necessary.
Right.
But you touched on being connected to people,
Right.
creating a space. And when I said to you we could heal here, I had no idea that meant I was going to be healing other people, literally in my home. That I was going to have a studio where people were coming. So it's not just that we healed ourselves, we heal other people. And you're doing the same thing here.
So when you're in your space based on home, have people said that to you, that they feel something different?
Oh, absolutely. Every single person that's ever come into my home say, it's so peaceful here.
Wow.
Which lets me know that even though he didn't live there physically, he's there.
Right. Exactly. Cecil's never.
Right.
Right.
But he's here.
Open your eyes to a lot, like you said, of what really matters.
What really matters and what you can do. And
and what you can control.
When I need to get myself in check, it's like, girl, you've buried a child.
Right.
You worried about what?
Right.
You worried about who likes you?
Right. Right.
You've seen them put your child's body in the
Right.
ground. You're afraid to speak in front of people? You're afraid to do what?
How about that?
How about you get up and use that same energy that you had to sit there and watch them put dirt on top of your child?
Right.
Use that energy to do whatever it is you have to do.
Right.
And so, because it is beyond the natural order of things to
Right.
bury a child.
Right.
And I know that there are some things that my human understanding is just never going to grasp. And that's okay, because I can give that to God.
Right.
And leave it in God's hands. And So what you were talking about, the not worrying, for me, that's surrender.
Right.
I got to surrender, because guess what? What makes me think I know better than God?
Come on here. Exactly.
What makes me think I can alter God's plan?
Mm-hmm.
So I have released a lot of guilt and shame surrounding Isaiah's death by surrendering it to God, because I'm not going to understand. It's not going to make sense.
Right.
My child not here.
Right.
That could never make sense.
Right.
So why would I make myself sick?
Right.
Constantly trying to figure it out.
Figure it out. Right.
When it's a part of God's plan.
Right.
Instead of appreciating everything I learned from that child.
Yes. What's one thing that you will say, or that you can say that you've learned? Give me one good, solid thing.
Well, like you were saying, I love that boy 30 million different ways.
Right.
There was nothing else that I was going to do that was going to alter what happened in his life. And what I know to be true is that when Isaiah, I always say November 1st wasn't the worst day. It was November 2nd when I woke up and he wasn't in this world. And the fact that I woke up was an indication that God was not done with me.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, there are moments where I'll hear a school bus and I think he's still here. I got to get him off. And I'm like, no, he's not here.
Right.
And then I think, if he's not here, what am I doing here?
Right.
Because that just doesn't make sense. And then because God has another purpose.
Right.
So get about the business of figuring out what that is and surrendering to it. And I've already lost so much time not being a mother to my daughters, stopped being their mother, and now I'm a grandmother.
Right.
Time is precious.
Right.
And we did not come here to play around.
Right.
You know, and so, as my mother told me a long time ago, God could have given that child to anybody. He gave him to you. And you know, 2 weeks before Isaiah passed away, I read Khalil Gibran's book, The Prophet. And in there's a stanza that says, your children do not belong to you.
No, they don't.
They come through you, but they are not yours. And I've leaned on that a lot, because I've had to recognize that Isaiah was never mine. He always belonged to God. But I was allowed to be a part of his life for however long God decided that life was going to be.
And
I got chosen.
How long was that?
16 years.
16 years.
I got chosen to be a part of that. Right. And I consider that a wonderful gift.
Right.
And so if I focus, if I focus on what hasn't happened, I'm going to forget about what did happen. And just this morning on Facebook, there was a memory. Isaiah said, 10 years ago, you're fat like a baby. And that thing cracked me up then, and it cracked me up this morning when I saw it.
Right.
And so, like you were talking about the anger, if I was stuck in the anger, I could have gone right to, he should be here, instead of, oh my God, I remember that moment and how precious it was and how precious he was.
Right.
And I got that. And not everybody gets that. Right. And so I consider it an honor.
I want to say, I appreciate you doing this with me. For my first, the farm table talk, my farm to table talk, giving me an opportunity to have these conversations with individuals. And since day one, and I knew that this was going to be the first subject, that you were always the person that I was going to have to come. So I just want to say I love you and I appreciate it. And I know that our boys are where they need to be, and whoever it is hears, listens, and understands from what they're going through from death. It doesn't matter who, child, parent, grandchild, that they can get through it, that we've survived and gotten through it, that not to hold on to the anger and the bitterness and the frustration and confusion, because it doesn't do you any good at all. And for us to just continuously and purposefully love on our family and our children, and to be able to talk about them, and to be able to know that, like you said, for the 16 years for you, it's like I almost feel that I shouldn't even be in your presence because I got 3 more years than you. But for what we've done and what we've had in our boys, and to know that everyone who's out there should love on their family. And everyone who's out there should be able to know that life is too short to not love on your family.
Right.
And again, I appreciate you, Miss Yolanda, for coming to my home
Absolutely.
and enjoying my nasty pie
and
and my food.
I'm coming back.
Coffee and
I'm
tea.
coming back because this is a healing place. It really is a healing
appreciate
place.
that.
And I appreciate everything because if it weren't for you being patient with me and trying to find a house, I would not have found my sanctuary that allowed me to heal and be who I am and show up as this instead of showing up in some other way. And I will second everything you said to anyone who is dealing with loss. That the fact is, it is a function of life.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It is a function of life, whether it's your parent,
Right.
grandparent, child, aunt, a friend. It's a
Right.
function of life.
Right.
It is a truth.
Right.
We will pass through here. We're just here for a little bit,
Right.
just a little bit. But what are we doing with the time that we
What
have
is the
here?
purpose?
What is the purpose?
Clink my glasses.
Yes.
On the tabletop. Love it.